Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu Muhammadin abduhu wa rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We're coming to you live right now from right here in Delaware. And that's a pretty cool place to be. As a matter of fact, the travels that I've been through for the past 6 weeks around the world, I found the weather to be the best right here in Delaware. So that's cool. It's not too hot, not too cold, but cool. Alhamdulillah, those of you who've been following our program right along, you know that we left California about 6 weeks ago. We left for Indonesia. After spending a week there for conferences, we went on to Malaysia for some conferences there. And from Malaysia, we went on to a place called Oman. And from Oman, we ventured on into Africa. We visited Tanzania, or Tanzania, depending on how you pronounce it. We visited Dar es Salaam, and we visited the largest crater in the world. And we saw all kinds of animals. Even we saw rhinoceroses, very rare, but all of them in that one big crater. And another thing that we had a chance to do was, all along this trip, is visit with the Muslims and enjoy learning more and more about our beautiful way of Islam. After leaving Dar es Salaam, we went on to Kuwait. And in Kuwait, we had a great chance to visit with some of the folks there and have some more conferences and seminars, and really nice. From there, we came to New York, and in New York, we had food. Yeah. All along the way, we had so much food, too much food. But we had a good time in New York. Then we went last night to New Jersey, and here we are in Delaware. Imagine we're actually circling the entire globe all the way around. And some of you have been following us and watching us on the Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram and so on. And we're just so happy to have all of our folks with us tonight. And we're working on a problem. One of our pieces of equipment got broken, and we're working on getting it repaired. And some of our software also got broken. We're working on that. But at least, we are still broadcasting on the internet and broadcasting on our apps and so on. So if you're in the room with us right now, obviously you don't have to get anything special to watch, alhamdulillah. But if you are anticipating going out somewhere, you might want to take your phone with you, and then you can watch us on the internet, inshallah, on your phone. All right. The subject that we have today is dealing with the family relationships in Islam in today's world. And I think we've got some background noise, so let me just remind everybody that we're live on television, and if we could hold that volume down just a little bit. Somebody once told me that whenever the sisters are asking us to turn up the volume, they said it's because the other sisters are talking so loud that they can't hear. So I don't turn up the volume, I just ask the sisters to please remember where you are and what's going on. So, alhamdulillah. Anyway, I would like really to be very careful in touching this subject, because this is a very sensitive subject tonight. How we treat each other. How we treat each other, especially in our families, because this is not lightweight. This is very serious. The thing that we take the most for granted really is our relationship with our family. As a matter of fact, the family relationship is the first thing to be ignored, the last thing to be considered, until somebody in the family gets really sick or they die. Then all of a sudden we realize, oh my God, but then it's too late. I'd like to remind myself and all of us about relationships in general. As a Muslim, we have our strongest and most formidable relationship with our Creator. Our Creator who made us and gave us this life that we live in. And our relationship with Him is very important. As a matter of fact, the communication with Almighty Allah is the very foundation of what we're talking about. We, as Muslims, know that we have to hold communication with our Creator and Sustainer on a regular basis every day. What is that way of communication? What is it called? Who can tell me? Salam? It's not prayer. Prayer is a one-way street. Prayer is when one petitions another. And Allah is not asking us for anything. He says, kun fayakun. He can get what He wants. But it doesn't work that way for us. For us, we need to make dua. So dua is prayer. But somebody said salah. Who said salah? Salah, yeah. That is exactly the communication. If you said, what's the difference? In the Arabic language, sila means a connection or communication. So, in the communication, like if I pick up my phone and I'm talking, what I'm holding in my phone makes the communication. But what I'm saying is the dua. You get the point? So, salah means communicating with Allah. This is the communication. But the dua is you asking Allah for something. In any case, that's how important it is. We need to even know what it is that we're doing. It's not just a matter of going, oh God, I need something. That's not the best way. I wanted to stress the importance of the relationship with Allah, because if the relationship with Allah is good, then the relationship with His creation should also be good. It's known in Islam that if the relationship that you have with the creation is bad, in other words, you're treating people bad, they're treating you bad, and you're having a hard time getting along with people, then there's something wrong with your relationship with Allah. Because it should be that how you're treating the people is a reflection of how you are with your Lord. And there are many examples from the life of Muhammad, peace be upon him, about this very subject. The thing that I wanted to stress, though, is this is the first relationship that we worry about. As Muslims, that's our first and foremost relationship, is with Allah. Because if it's not right, then nothing else is going to be right, for sure. The second relationship is with our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Now, I realize that, as anybody in their right mind should know, that he passed away 1,400 years ago. But we're not talking about calling him up in the grave and asking him for anything. What we're talking about is a relationship with him, that we're following what he taught us to do, and we're praying for him in every one of our salat. I almost said prayers. But in the salah, we are always asking for peace and blessings to be upon him. This is a part of our relationship with the Prophet ﷺ. Now, after we establish these two, let's look at the human beings. Someone came to Muhammad ﷺ in the days when revelation was still coming, and they asked him, after Allah and His Messenger, he's talking about relationship, after Allah and His Messenger, who has the most rights on my time? Huwa qala, he said, your mother. Now, before I go any further, I want to tell you the condition of the people at the time. In those days, and especially in that place in Arabia, a woman had zero rights, nothing. Women were lower than dogs, lower than animals, because people abused them, treated them like garbage, really. If somebody treated his wife nice, she should feel like a princess or something, because, wow, he didn't beat me up. It was not what we see today. Really, it was a bad situation. If you didn't know this, some of you watching right now, I'll share this with you, that at the time of Muhammad ﷺ, when he was growing up, he was witness to some of the things that people did. It was their culture and their tradition that if a girl was born to a family, that if the man was a real macho guy, he would take this newborn baby girl to the desert and bury her alive in the burning sand. Omar radiallahu anhu said that before Islam, in the days of ignorance, called Jahiliyyah, he did that. This is something, of course, he regretted it after coming to Islam. It made him cry. He actually cried about it. But imagine that now somebody, our Prophet, peace be upon him, is saying to them, your mother has the most rights on your time. What? Are you joking? But before that, a mother was like, I don't even want to go there. So when he said your mother, it's like, okay, then who? And he repeated it, your mother. Huh? Okay, then who? Your mother. Mother, your mother, your mother, and then your father. This obviously is known throughout history that human beings have always looked to their father. That this is known. But to say the mother and emphasize it by making it 3 times, this was something big to them. They were like, oh, wow. And so the relationship in the family changed immediately, right then and there. Now suddenly the mother has to have respect, and as well as all the rest of the women. One of the things that was also prevalent at that time, and in some places today you still see it, which is forced marriages. Taking little children and making them married to somebody before they're even old enough to have children. In this country, in the United States of America, this existed even in the last century. And if anybody doubt that, we have the records along with the documents of marriages of children under the age of 10 years old. Now, of course, they will tell you, oh, no, you can't do that. Today, in most of the states in America, you have to be at least 18. When I was growing up, a girl could get married when she was 16 in Louisiana. My own sister got married when she was 15 in Texas, because all you need is your parents' signature. I waited till I was very old. I was 17. Alhamdulillah. The point that I'm trying to make, though, is that at that time, in Arabia, it was the custom for a family especially to say, you know what, my nephew or my cousin had a child, and we have a child, let's get them married. So they would designate that these two are going to get married. There's no choice on their side. And as soon as it's possible, we're going to get them hooked up, and that's it. And they don't have nothing to say about this. But especially for the woman, especially for the woman. Because a man, he could have as many wives as he wanted. There was no limit. A lot of people today don't consider that when we talk about 4 wives. They don't realize at the time of Muhammad ﷺ, there was no limit. They could have all they wanted. In the Bible, you can find that David, ﷺ, he had many wives. Suleiman had many wives. It was known. Even Ibrahim, ﷺ, he had at least 3 because they're mentioned in the book of Genesis. So, people will say, well, that was then and this is now. And they're right. That was then. But what else was then was the correction on how we treat each other and especially the women. In the Quran, in chapter 4 and verse 21, you'll find that this is telling us you cannot inherit women. You can't get married to them. You can't inherit them. You can't do anything without their permission. And it means that they have to be old enough to get married. Some people don't realize that this is a condition that Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrated with his own life. If you follow the hadith in Sahih Bukhari, you'll find that there was something offered to Muhammad ﷺ from a girl who was 6 years old. And I'll tell you the story about it, inshallah, if you'd like to pay attention to this. Because today, people criticize Islam and Muhammad ﷺ for what they don't understand. The hadith says, the translation to English language, is coming from the girl herself. She is saying, this is Aisha radiallahu anha. She is saying that when she was about 6 years old, her mother, now pay attention to the people and the characters in here so that you don't listen to somebody else tell you how to think. Her mother came to her while she was playing outside and took her inside to her father and her father's best friend. Her father's best friend is who? Muhammad ﷺ. And it's Abu Bakr, who's the father of Aisha. Abu Bakr grew up with Muhammad ﷺ. And in their culture, it is known that they used to marry off their daughters to the family they wanted to be married to. Some people don't know that Aisha had already been engaged, but never married, but was already engaged by her father to somebody. Listen, it's a fact. But now, since Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's wife had died, he felt that he wanted to see, I'm talking about Abu Bakr, he wanted to see his best friend feel better. And he offered his daughter in marriage. The Prophet ﷺ, watch this, didn't accept it. How do I know? How do you know? Read the rest of the hadith. It said she was offered in marriage, and then her mother let her go back outside and play in the dirt. That's what it says. How do you get a marriage out of that? How do you get anything else out of that except what? Must not have happened. The Quran is saying that you can't marry women against their will, and obviously a 6-year-old girl is not old enough to make that kind of a choice. Now, another hadith says she's 9 years old. Is that right? Yeah, we know that. A very similar situation happens again, and she's taken in the house again, only this time she wants to accept. And is that okay? Because for her it would have been, she was old enough to have children, even at 9 years old. And that's a condition. They cannot be married off before they're old enough to be mature to make a decision. And she got married to Rasul Sallallahu. When she got married to him, she tells us the story. By the way, don't play a game and try to read your thoughts into what somebody else did, because she's the one telling us the story. And she's telling us about a very happy event and how that the Prophet ﷺ played with her, did games with her, they had a lot of fun together long before there was a consummation of the marriage. She says that herself. Also, he talks about the fact that they used to play together. Now, when she says it, she says that they used to run in a race when she was young. And she said, I used to win, but when I got heavy, then he used to win. This is what she said. I want you to be careful when you read any of the stories about Aisha and Muhammad, because she's the one narrating these stories, and she's always a happy person. Even when she was playing pranks, she did some tricks on Muhammad, and she admitted. She's a young girl having fun, and she played some tricks. One of the tricks is known in the Quran about the honey. You know about this? The Prophet ﷺ used to stop at one of his wife's house to have honey. And then he would come over to Aisha, and she would tell him, oh, your breath smells bad. Now, the Prophet ﷺ was very sensitive about his breath. And he was telling us, don't have bad breath when you go to pray with each other, because you're going to, the smell bothers somebody who's trying to worship God. Be sure you don't have onion breath or garlic breath or something like this. So, we know that. We understand that. In addition, the Prophet ﷺ made it clear that if the honey was giving him bad breath, it must be bad, and he was going to make it haram, forbidden. In the Quran, there's a chapter called Surah At-Tahrim, which means forbidden. But what it talks about is the Prophet ﷺ, he should not make something forbidden that Allah didn't make forbidden. None of us should say something is haram if Allah and His Messenger didn't make it haram. We should be very careful about it. And so, this is some of the things that we know about the relationship of Muhammad and Aisha. But there's one story that I would like to share with you that I think most of you know about. That one time while they were traveling and coming back to Medina, to the city, Aisha had gone off, maybe to play, to do something, and when she came back, they were gone. In those days, they had a basket-looking thing that they used to carry, and they thought she was in it. And they were carrying it, and when they got back, they found out she wasn't even in it. And it wasn't too long that she was coming back, but she was riding somebody's camel, and this man was leading the camel. And what had happened, we know this, that the person saw her and then realized that that was the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. So he gets off his camel and he makes it so the camel gets down and she can get on it. And he doesn't even look toward her at all. I have a reason for being clear about this, because he was very shy and he was bringing her back safely. But in the meantime, there were those who were speculating what was the relationship between her and this person. And they were spreading rumors. Can you imagine Muslims spreading rumors? Saying things that they don't even know against people? Wow. In those days, I guess they could get away with it. But we know Muslims today wouldn't do that, right? Not on Facebook, or Twitter, or Instagram, or text messages, or on the phone. Anyway, so what happened, these stories were going around the community. And people were accusing her of something bad. In the meantime, she got very sick. She had high fever, and she stayed in the house with her father and mother. When the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came to check in on her, he just looked over at her, and he looked back at his best friend, Abu Bakr, and he said, "How is this one doing? How's this one doing?" And he left. The scholars tell us that he was showing no partiality. If there was, because he knew about these rumors. This is a very bad, nasty thing to say. A very bad thing to say. In fact, in Islam, you can get in big trouble for saying something like this. The same surah, which is exonerating her, is the same one that tells us if you do not have 4 eyewitnesses who actually see what's called penetration, you must not say anything. Even 3 people cannot do that. And they have to know the people and actually be there, and in other words, it's impossible. Keep your mouth shut. Even if you see something, don't say something. The opposite of what a lot of people tell you. You see something, say something. No, if you see something, shut up and walk away. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir ya'khudhu khayran aw yasmut. Let the one who believes in Allah on the last day either say good things or keep quiet. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything. As simple as that. I want to stress that because this really is a problem that all of us are suffering from today, is people who are saying so many things about so many people, and they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, but anyway, now we're coming up to something else that's a little bit more distant than a direct relationship, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clears her name completely in the Quran and makes it clear that these people were doing exactly that they were just spreading false rumors, fake news. Exactly what our president today is claiming about so many people. He's saying fake news. Fake news. Which is better than alternate facts. If you remember the election, yeah. Anyway, alternate facts is not fake news. But I want to come back to this. So, when our Prophet ﷺ found out about this, he goes back to Aisha, and he's so happy that Allah has cleared her name. But you know what? Her attitude was, Allah cleared me, not you. Allah cleared me, not you. But she felt indignant about this. How could, and it was her own folks who told her what was being spread around. And she's like, what? How could anybody say this? How could people we know say something like this about me? Whoa! So this is why my husband, not coming around. Whoa! So you can get the attitude. I'm trying to give you a feeling of what's going on. This is not just ink and paper that we're talking about. You know, when you write something down, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. No, this is real life. People have feelings. But look what happened next. Her father, Abu Bakr, he became furious about it because he found out the one who did it was his own relative that he had been supporting, giving money to, secretly, not just openly, giving support. And he said, I swear, I will never give him anything again. Never. And then Allah revealed something about this. No, don't take this attitude. This is not acceptable in Islam. You continue to give the charity no matter what, because you do that for sake of Allah. This makes it clear to us, when you see somebody on the side of the road holding a sign that said, we'll work for food, or hungry, need money, it doesn't matter what you think or suspect, you will give charity and you will be rewarded. But when, and this is not far, but when it's your relative, it is wajib for you to continue to support, even when they have said bad things against you. Because now you'll get even more reward for what you're doing with Allah. In spite of this, you continue to give. Don't take the attitude. Don't let shaitan convince you, oh, they said something bad, I don't have to give them anymore. So this means you weren't doing it for Allah. You were doing it for them. So this is a good lesson for us. I want to remind myself how important it is to support your relatives. Especially if you have a relative and she's a lady and she has no husband, no support, maybe she's got children, you must support her. Look how Allah begins the famous ayah in Surah An-Nisa. He said, use the word rajul. Rajul means male, not just mankind, because mankind refers to men and women. The word ins or insan. But rajul is males. And it says that the males have the responsibility over the females, An-Nisa. This is the chapter called An-Nisa. They have the responsibility, and then Allah says, because Allah made one more cowy than the other one. So He's given you the strength and the ability to go out and make money and take care of your family and your daughters, your sisters, your mothers, your wives. Get out and do your job. Don't play Mr. Mom and sit around the house while your wife goes out and does all the work. Come on, come on. What is this? This is aib. This is a big shame. You can't work. You don't want to work. Come on. In the case where somebody's crippled and he can't move, I can understand that. That's it. But even then, it should be other brothers who will step up and help out and not make the lady go out into the workforce and try to get by. By the way, ladies, listen up. One of the things that happens in this country, in the European society and here in America, is that girls feel like they need to have an education so that they can get a career, so they can have a job, so they don't have to depend on a man. Have you ever heard this idea? All these girls are going, yeah, of course, yeah, that's normal. This is what you're supposed to do, right? You get an education, you get a career, you don't need any guy. True? Is that right? Is this what we hear? Exactly. And that's from Shaitan. 100%. Because he doesn't want you to do the job that Allah intended, and he doesn't want them to do the job that they're intended to do. Allah said it in the Quran, it is the men's responsibility to take care of the women. And if you said, well, they don't do it. I understand that. That's why we're having this program right now. Get a job. There you go. Just in case they didn't know. All right. By the way, when you get married, Allah will bless you and you'll find the money will come. As long as you work, Allah will make it happen. He does. He does it. Not you. Allah does it. This now brings us to another relationship. The relationship of the husband and the wife themselves. We hope that it's blessed. We hope that they work together. But after they're married, what will happen? Most likely, they'll have a child. Is that right? That's how it pretty much works. And if it doesn't work, then make lots of dua. Give sadaqah, give charity. Sacrifice some of your time for Allah and ask Him to give you a child. Now, when you have a child, there are things that we do. If it's a boy, you have a boy, you sacrifice 2 sheep or 2 goats, and then you distribute this amongst the people If it's a girl, 1. Is that right? Now I heard some non-Muslims complain about this. They're not even a Muslim. They don't even like to eat goat, but who cares? They want to complain and they say, oh, so you do 2 for the boy and only 1 for the girl? Wow, that's not equal rights. Well, by the way, the goats were happy. But that's not the point, is it? There's more sacrifice needed for the boy than there is for the girl. Now, haven't you thought about it like that? Because the boy's going to cause a lot more problem than the girl is. Simple. If you want to put it down in those kind of terms. But who cares? Because this really is something from the Sunnah, and especially at the time, and it was known, you must have a celebration, and you must do some sacrifice for the poor and the needy in the community. And by the way, if you want to sacrifice 50 goats because you had a little girl, good for you. It's not wrong. But at least do 1. And this shows, again, that the inclusion of the women being counted as being valuable in the community. So, just clarify that a little bit and put it in perspective. After you have a child, there's some other things that go along with it, but we're going to move forward a little bit. The mother is the one who is going to nurse this baby for the next couple years. Now, this is very, very important in Islam, that this baby is suckling from the mother, if at all possible. By the way, if there's some problem, it is okay in Islam to have a substitute, what they call wet nurse, for the baby. You know why we know that? Because Prophet ﷺ did have that himself. So you can't say, well, that's wrong or anything. But I want you to think about this. If a woman is nursing a baby for 2 years, how is she going to have a career? How? If she has a career, she has to give it up for a kid. And so this is when all of a sudden we get into this synthetic milk and things that they start using for the babies. And this is when they start bringing in babysitters to take care of their child. And in this case, especially here in America, you're going to have people that don't understand about the relationship in the family of the Muslims. Because you're bringing people into your house, take care of your child, that they're not of the same faith, don't have the same understanding. And these are the people spending the time with your child. If you're gone, nobody has a job 8 hours a day. That's not how it works. It takes you an hour to get to work, or a half hour to get to work, another half hour to get back. You stop along the way, maybe you get coffee, you have to talk to a friend, you got to do whatever. So you're gone maybe 10, 11, even 12 hours in a day. And when you get home, you have only a few minutes with the child, then you're trying to cook or do something else. And then the child is asleep. Who is raising the child? The babysitter. That's a fact. Then you wonder why later, when your child is a teenager, why are they doing this kind of action and thinking like this and watching this kind of TV, listening to this kind of music and doing all of these things? Why? That's what they grew up with. You put them into it. Let's go backward now to a hadith that I forgot to mention, okay? The hadith is our Prophet ﷺ telling us about the birth of a child. He said, every child, not just Muslim, every child is born on the fitra, that's the word in Arabic, natural way of al-Islam. Now, right away, anybody who's not Muslim is going to say, no, my kid. Hold on. The word here is talking about the surrender to God, submission to God, sincerity with God, obedience to God, and safety and security with God to find peace. All of that is talking about the condition, the mental, physical, and spiritual condition of a baby. In other words, you're saying the baby is innocent. And this is exactly what a lawyer claims in a court when he takes his client in front of the judge. He said, "Your Honor, my client is as innocent as a newborn baby." That's what it means. The child is born innocent, has the best relationship with the Creator, and so much so that if the child dies, the child goes to paradise, regardless of the religion of the parent. They could be a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Christian, a Muslim, they could be a Jewish, they could be an atheist, mulhid. It doesn't matter. The child will go to paradise. That's not what it says in the Bible. But that is what we have in Islam. Very crystal clear. And what makes the most sense? Common sense. A little baby dies. Why would they be punished for the sins of their fathers? Why? Doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now, keeping that in mind, let's listen to the rest of the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ says, every child is born on the fitrah of Al-Islam. It is their parents who will raise them up to become a Jew, a Christian, a fire worshiper, or whatever they become. You get that? The parents. Now, if you're turning your child over to a babysitter, you just did that. Now, you checked them out. Huh? You just put them out there, and that is what will happen. And Allah will ask you. And you'll ask yourself. Today, I have to digress just for a minute to share something with you. In today's world, and I'm going around the world personally myself to confirm this, I've heard it, I've talked to so many brothers around the world, but I want to go see it with my eyes, hear it with my ears, and this is what I have heard to confirm and clarify it. Islam is still the fastest growing religion in the world. Say Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Islam is still the fastest growing religion in the world, but it is not the fastest growing group. Islam is not the fastest growing group. The one with the most increase on a daily basis is what? Mu'mineen. The atheists are the fastest growing group on the planet because Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, Christians, and even Muslims are leaving their faith, their religion to go to atheism. Many of the people are coming into Islam, but we also have a back door where some people are going out. Alhamdulillah that we have more coming in than going out. But let me ask you a question. If it's your brother or your sister or your mother or your child who left Islam, do you really care about statistics at that stage of the game? That's the last thing you want to hear about. Even if somebody said only one person left Islam in 50 years, but it was your mom or your child, how do you feel? That statistic didn't make you feel a bit better, did it? If only one person dies today, but it just happens to be somebody you love very much, that statistic doesn't make you feel any better at all. And this is what's happening today. So we have programs that we're dealing with this subject as well. This is not one of them, but I just want to mention that. So if you understand that there are people who are leaving Islam, I want you to also know they're leaving other religions even faster. What does Islam say about this subject? And before we leave the subject, I'll tell you the hadith of Rasul Sallallahu Inshallah. The Prophet Sallallahu told us in the last days, there's not going to be any more religions. There's only going to be Iman and Kufr. True Iman, believing in the one and only God, Allah, and total Kufr. What is Kufr? For the benefit of those who are watching this at home, I'm going to demonstrate Kufr for you. Watch closely. That was an act of Kufr. That was kafara. I covered the top of the water bottle with a cap. The word cover in English comes from kafara in Arabic. It means to cover the truth. When someone knows that there is God and they've been shown the evidence, but yet they refuse. Maybe they don't want to believe it themselves. Maybe they want people to think they don't believe. But whatever the case is, when they cover what has been explained to them in clear terms, then this is kufr. But somebody is not really a kafir until they do that. It means that somewhere Allah will explain or show to them something, and if they reject it, then they are, by their own choice, a kafir. I'm mentioning this because in the last days, there will be people who don't know anything about Arabic language, but they will believe in the law. There will be people who can speak Arabic, but they want to cover and not believe anymore. And unfortunately, we're seeing that here in America as well. We have seen actual examples in our country, and I've seen it in all the countries I've visited, even in Saudi Arabia, where somebody is leaving Islam. We do try to sit with them, we try to talk with them, we try to show them evidences, but when somebody doesn't want to believe what does Allah say, whether you warn them or warn them not, la yu'minun, they're not going to believe. Some people don't need microphones to be loud, do they? Alhamdulillah. But this, by the way, this is the right of the children to have fun. And you should acknowledge that. But when we're broadcasting, it's also the right of the listeners not to have to do that. So, alhamdulillah, we'd work it out. I want to mention something else about the children before we leave the subject. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the salah, while he was praying, his grandsons crawled up on him. They were playing on top of him. You know, like some children want to ride the horsey, and they're on him while he's praying. Later, he told his companions, because he stayed down so long in sajda, he had his head on the ground, they're playing. And one of them kind of peeked up to see what's going on. You know, it's the wrong time. And he sees the grandchildren of the Prophet ﷺ playing on top of him. And he said he would have let them play longer, but he knew that he had to get up because the rest of the jama'ah, the rest of the worshippers would have been like, whoa, this is too much. So alhamdulillah, there is something that we really need to give concession for the little children. Alhamdulillah. We're almost out of time. We have only about 2 or 3 minutes left in our program, and I wanted to mention a couple of more points really quick. When our children are to be educated, today there's a big emphasis on education, and there should be. This is my opinion, but I'm not going to use my opinion to rethink or retranslate the Quran and the Sunnah. I don't think any person on the planet really wants their child to be uneducated. But at the same time, we should not try to say something that is not really in Islam. What we do know in Islam, though, there are fabrications. I hope we can get through this in the last couple minutes that we've got left. I'll ask Allah to make it easy for us. But in education, we do have some evidence that we should be educated in Islam. But don't fabricate things and say things to please people, because Allah will not be happy with you. There's something that said, seek knowledge even if you go to China. Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Have you heard these? These are fabricated. They are not true. This has nothing to do with Islam. It has to do with kadhib, a liar. So don't use those things to say that the Prophet ﷺ said it. He didn't say it. What he did say was, whoever attributes to me something that I didn't say can reserve their seat in the hellfire. So don't put yourself in the fire over somebody else's lies. Don't say this hadith, because it's not a hadith. However, there is something in Islam teaching you that while you're seeking knowledge in the path of Allah, the angels are lowering their wings of mercy and making dua for you, because you're seeking the knowledge. Use this, but don't fabricate. And above all, don't say the first word of the Quran was read. It was not read. It was recite. Iqra meant recite. Because if you give it a meaning that you want it to have, you mess up not only the Quran, but you mess up the dawah. Because look at how the translators played with it. Read. I don't know how to read. Read. I'm sorry, I don't know how to read. Read. Oh, I'm illiterate. I don't know how to read. Okay, you know what this does? This gives somebody the big chance to say, oh, really? So your God sent somebody who didn't even know what to do? Or how come Muhammad didn't learn how to read? Did he ever learn how to read? Did he? No. So don't use this as the thing to support your argument. We have something very clear. Look what it says. This is a hadith of Rasul. The best of you are those who learn, and this means the knowledge of the Quran, and you teach it. This is clear. There's nothing wrong with that. But why fabricate something and give people a chance to step on you? Because when you say that Iqra means read, you've not understood it. Because now look at it in the right context. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Iqra. So he's being told Iqra. But look what his response really was. Ma ana biqari. I'm not a reciter. He didn't say I don't know how to read. He said I'm not a reciter. Then Iqra. Ana ummi. I am illiterate. But also we know that he said himself he wasn't a poet. Many of the people at the time who recited were poets. And he didn't care for that. That wasn't his stroke. That wasn't his bailiwick. He didn't care about that. So if in the summation of this, we want to emphasize that there are rights and there are limits. There's rights and limits. And we ask Allah that we'll give the rights to everybody, and especially the rights to Allah, and stay within the limits, inshallah. Till next time, stay there and stay guided with Guidance TV. Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.